The fragile test problem, Uncle Bob. Hello, I'm Chris Tess. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they're coming out for that on Tuesday. I made him this time. I believe him. Okay, so we're gonna be reviewing more Uncle Bob. He's my favorite guy, my favorite software architect kind of personality, conference circuit, book circuit, uh, certification circuit guy. And this is put on by DevTools Made Simple. Go really give them a like and subscribe. They do little clips and stuff. They don't really do a lot of commentary. They just put the clips out, and I love the little source code clips they have. Is like images from some of his projects or some of his assignments. I'm not sure what. But they're
Unit
great.
tests can be created so coupled to the system that if you change anything in the system, a whole bunch of tests break.
Right. So you're in that case it's called testing the implementation and not the interface. You should only be testing with the interface, like the expected inputs and the expected outputs. And it's like live documentation. I hate this idea of test. It's more like examples that run, documentation that executes. It should be set up so like somebody comes in, it's like, what is this class thing supposed to do, or these series of classes, what are they supposed to do? And here's an example, here's an example, here's an example, here's an example. Not that's the implementation and saved to the database. Is like, I don't think that's really what we need, unless you're doing a new database application for some reason. Which, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? But if you're, you want things that you want to lead some like live documentation, not commented out parts of stuff. The thing does I changed the implementation slightly, and all these tests broke, and I can't figure out how to fix them, so I'm going to comment them out. That's bad. That's real bad. Let's keep going.
This is called the fragile test problem.
Okay, I agree. So sometimes he's right. So I was like, a broken clock is right twice a day. No, he's better than that. I have to give him a hard time because it does seem like he's on a little bit of a gish galloping. He doesn't define a lot of his terms. Some of his metaphors are mixed. So he'll pick up a metaphor, then drop it. It's just really sometimes very confusing. He's entertaining. Don't get me wrong. He's like you're like a soldier at you're about to invade Europe, and he's the commander in chief. Listen, boys, we gotta hit him hard, hit him low. It's gonna be tough on the beaches, tough on the air. Let's go. Let's keep going.
The fragile test problem is a problem that is experienced by people who are new to test-driven development.
Is it? I don't know. It seems like a lot of people who have been in test-driven development a long time seem to be doing the same thing. I don't think the message got out, Bob. I think you maybe sometimes missed somewhere missed along the message along the way that we're testing the interface, not the implementation. I know it's like, what do you mean by that? It's like you just what someone from the outside would expect without knowing any internals.
If you have only been doing test-driven development for a year or two,
How do you have so many metrics on this? See, this is another thing I don't like about Bob. Is he throws out these numbers, but do you have any studies? Do you have any examples of why you say these numbers? What size team? What size project? It's just
you are very likely to come across the fragile test problem. And the reason that you come across it,
I mean, this is the standard thing, man.
Is you have not yet realized that tests are part of the system and have to be designed as part of the system.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, this test stuff was tacked on recently. So people are still like in a learning cycle. It's not like this is a standard stuff they teach at school and academia. They didn't even talk about this. It's just kind of assumed. This is an industry thing that came out just recently, and people, how do you expect them to know about this stuff when the academics have completely fallen off for all the colleges? They don't even talk about this at all. It's like it's such a crucial thing for code quality. It's like, and documentation. Maybe he's calling it tests. I mean, it's like we already have too many tests in college. Now academia, there's too many. How about executable documentation? Like we call it that, exadocs. Do you have the exadocs? Do you have runnable documentation? I don't know. Do you get the run docs? Something. Let's stop calling it tests. Ugh. It's just like exercises, the classes, the exercise docs. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. We just get this test of just shave my mouth off.
They cannot simply be thrown in there as a bunch of tests.
I mean, that's how it's usually done. So it can, sir.
Tests are an integral part of the system that must be designed with all the same rules that we've always used to design any part of the system. So let me explain.
Okay, I mean, that's nice to say, but when corners need to be cut and you're about to lose your funding, 2 months left of your runway, you need to get things out the door, and you're sick of trying to change these tests every time. Every time you change the UI, every time you change it back in, you got to change all these damn tests all over the place, and we haven't even got product market fit. Maybe that's not the best time. See, he's not nuanced at all about this. He's all because I think he's already comes into these projects after product market fit. He's like not aware. There's a lot of problems, and these projects, when as soon as we get product market fit, management wants to take that project and extend it. It's like, we didn't build it for that, man. And they don't want to hear it. So, Bob, could you help us out here with the managers? How do we convince them that finding product market fit product is going to be different than maintainability, extendability, readability, onboardability, sustainability part of it, which is testable and all that junk. That's the whole other half that's we hope we can get to one day. But he's like assumes that we're already there. It's like, come on, man. That's why it's a little frustrating listening to him, because he's not nuanced. You can most actual senior architect developers are like, they teach you like Kevlin Henny, like he says, here's some things to think about when you're thinking about your problem. And Bob's like, just think about this. That's the only thing. It's like, no. How about think about some topics that got you to that decision matrix? Help us make our decision matrix, not here's the decision matrix. Like, god damn.
Explain what I mean by that. If there is a part of the system over here and another part over here, they're not tests, they're just parts of the system, and you make a change over here and it breaks 1,000 things over here.
Fragile, yes. Fragile, rigid, coupled. What else? Yes, this is the main issue, I guess. Okay.
What can you say about the design of that system?
It's fragile. It's rigid.
It sucks. Yeah, coupled. It's a terrible design.
It's not terrible. It's fit for purpose. Did they just get the thing product market fit? Did they wire the things directly because they needed to get to market? And I only had 2 weeks of vacation because my wife went out of town to visit her folks, and I get the 2 weeks because like Ken Thompson did when he was developing a Unix. And you only have so much time, man, and you're not even sure this is even going to work because most of the things don't. So where do you come from there? It's like, nope, no mention of that. That's not part of it. So that's not part of Uncle Bob's reality. It's just everything comes preformed in his world.
By the definition of bad design. The definition of bad design is when you make a change in one place and 1,000 things break in another.
Yeah, it's because this is how they have to be written in the beginning. It has to be coupled some way. But when you go to scale it or make it onboarding, you have to let that code go. Use it as a design guideline to build another thing. And when you're building that other thing, we should not have this coupling thing. But if you're going to try and take the coupled system that was a proof of concept MVP, and you then try and add more tests to that, yeah, you're going to have it's not going to work, man. And I've seen lots of attempts at this. I've worked on them. I've tried it myself. It doesn't work that way. You have to. It's a two-phase thing, man, and that's why I don't hear this talked about in any of these architects, that there's 2 phases of this thing. And maybe they're just not involved with the second phase, only for the first phase. Maybe they're just second phasers, because the first phase is crazy. It's very rare that anything actually works enough to come up to the second phase. Like, there's this hard limit in a power curve dynamics where there's like, how the power curve goes like this. There's only like 5 people doing most of it, and then there's a hard limit up here, and it's like there's a long tail of people that's just doing all kinds of random. So look at the stores. Most apps have no customers. Like, there's a reason. It's because it's hard to get that product market fit. It's a lot of risk involved, a lot of humbleness. You have to like bow down to what the customer wants. You have to deal with these dang customers. You have to like that. I kind of like it. Most developers like it, but they've been told they shouldn't like it. By middle managers who are threatened. I take the requirements from the users and I give it to the developers. It's like, well, they can talk to each other, and you can be involved and run interference with that other management. Maybe put a nice shell around so they can put some psychological safety where they can. All right, let's keep going.
Well, okay, now turn these into tests. You make a change over there and 1,000 tests break, you got a bad design.
I mean, maybe there's something in that thing that all those things are relying on that needs to be there. He's just so flippant with some of these generalizations.
How do you fix that? Well, you design the tests. You isolate the tests from the system. You
I mean, no, you have to build a system in a decoupled way that be testable. And that's not always the first thing you want to do when you're making stuff. Because you can spend a lot of time dicking around with stuff that never needs to be done and nobody would care about it.
decouple the tests from the system. You build APIs for the tests. You use all the same techniques that.
How do you know what the APRs are, Bob? How do you know what they are until you build something out without it and then trying to do, and you get something that actually gives value to somebody, and then we can go talk about doing APIs between them. Come on, man.
You use for normal system design for the tests. And you wind up with tests that don't break that way.
Right, because you're testing the interface. You're testing the API as opposed to the implementation. Like if you try and do it the other way around, it's just you're asking for heartache and heartbreak. And I know everybody wants to have, God, I got $1 million in that code base. You gotta let it go, man. You gotta let it go. That was a learning experience. It was for the learning of it's actually not the $1 million is not in the code base. It's in the people around it who went through that process to develop that thing, who now have all kinds of tacit knowledge about what to do next, and will be refreshed to hear that we can let go of this cruddy thing that that was useful for its time, but now it needs to be put down and go on to the next thing. It's like just how like some people think that sexual reproduction was introduced into biology to get rid of parasites by having a new layer that's parasite free, and then the other one full of parasites dies. All right, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.